Good evening, distinguished guests and visitors, ladies and gentlemen, in particular, cadets of the newer battalion. Welcome to today's promotion ceremony in honor of Major Daniel Harrison. I'd like to extend a special welcome to Major Harrison's family, his wife, Cindy, his daughter and son, Tarna and JD, his parents, Becky Harrison and Bob and Nancy Harrison, his brothers, Michael and David Harrison and their families, his nephews, Chris and Will Harrison, his grandparents online, Donald and Barbara Wolf, and his in-laws, Jim and Sheila Hall. I'm Second Lieutenant Jerry Jones, and I will be the master of the ceremony this evening. The presiding official for today's ceremony is Colonel Andy Kaiser. Colonel Kaiser commanding 2nd Strike Brigade Combat Team, 4th Infantry Division from 2021 to 2023. Major Harrison served as his Brigade Operations Officer that first year as the Mountain Warrior Brigade completed the transition to a Striker Brigade from an Infantry Brigade Combat Team, including a train-up corps and a rotation at the National Training Center, fielding the first fleet of Crow's J Strikers, becoming the most lethal BCT in the United States Army, and assumption of immediate reaction force duties. He currently serves as the Executive Officer to the Commanding General of the United States Army Forces Command. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a warm welcome for Colonel Kaiser.
General Fuller, thanks for coming. Friends and family of Dan, thanks for coming today. Colonel Cockburn, thanks for the cadets, everybody set this up. Dan, I'm really glad we're doing here at Virginia Tech. Their football team has more than just one left and one right, which are all in honor. So a little bit of spending the meeting here for football here. Cindy and Bob, thanks for coming. It's great to be here because Dan's family is all served, 5 generations. Whereas his dad was in the Marine Corps, Vietnam vet, later became an Army officer. His mother was an Army physical therapist. His brother is still serving as Lieutenant Colonel, and his brother Dave was in the 2nd Ranger Battalion. So generations of service. It's good here to be at Virginia Tech, where it prides itself on training leaders of tomorrow and has a long history of veterans that have served all the branches. It has a large group of heroes that have come well before all the cadets that are sitting here. So it's really good. So as I thought through, Dan, what we talk about today, one thing I think is important. So one thing the Army is getting back to is we've got a bunch of leaders that have changed out. You've probably seen a lot of stuff in the press. There's a senator out there that won't let some officers change out. But one of the focal points for the Army, at least when we're starting to transition, come out of COVID, is a new focus on war fighting. So what I'm kind of going to do is I thought for the cadets sitting in the room is we'll walk through Dan's career a little bit, because I think it's a model career, especially for an infantry officer, of one of service and taking on hard jobs. There's a lot of officers that do volunteer to serve. There's a lot of stuff you can do as an officer out there, but there's very few tracks where you dedicate yourself to the Army and the service versus doing things that are kind of more personally driven for your own betterment when you leave. But Dan has actually dedicated himself to making himself better and serving the soldiers and his peer leaders throughout the career. That's really why we're probably here today, and he's hitting on Lieutenant Colonels, because he's dedicated himself and made all the right decisions to better himself to serve others when he got to the next level. So Dan, much like most young leaders as they came out of high school and went to college at USMA, had his dream of being an airborne ranger, just like I did. You probably watched Delta Forces young kid Chuck Norris. But his dream was to be an airborne ranger, so he ended up being 2nd Airborne, is a ranger qualified parachute in the 82nd. Probably one of the best places to start for an infantry officer if you want to learn what right looks like, how to fight, and standards. And that set him on his track for success at a very young age, so I'm sure he got some great leaders in the 82nd Airborne to get him prepped. After the 82nd Airborne, Dan moved on to probably the best place to live, I think, in the Army, which is Fort Riley, Kansas. I did own a house up there for a while, so I have a love for Fort Riley. But he was the 16th Regiment, which has a special place in my heart too. So we're actually there about the same time, just didn't know each other. So I was in 116, which is in 1st Brigade, and he was in 216 in 4th Brigade, a little bit down the street. So we were both part of the Ranger Regiment. It's not the Ranger Regiment. We're Iron Rangers. What were you guys? Yeah, they were just Rangers in 2nd Battalion. But he was at Fort Riley. So again, deployed on Fort Riley, so he deployed twice out of the 82nd Airborne. And I got 2 deployments when he was down with the Rangers in 216. And then I got to envy him a little bit for his services, 2 company commands there with 216 Infantry. He got to become a distinguished member of the regiment, the 16th Regiment, which has a massive Vietnam following from all their veterans of Vietnam. Extremely active regiment in service and giving back to the military committee. So Dan's now an honored member of the regiment, which is a little bit envious of Dan for that. But after serving as 2 company commands at Fort Riley, Dan went to be an OC at JRTC. So Cindy, I do thank you and Tara and JD, because that's not the place that most people want to go down to Fort Polk, Louisiana. But it absolutely, for the cadets in the back of the room, after company command, the thing you want to do is learn how to war fight and watch others, and learn lessons and share the lessons learned that you've learned in company command as a platoon leader. So when those soldiers and leaders deploy, they're ready to go for combat. So Dan gave back, took one for the home team, went to Fort Polk, Louisiana, and gave back to the team. But that really honed his war playing skills. So over the first part of his career as a junior officer, he got everything set as a young lieutenant in the 82nd Airborne, and then really honed his skills as a warfighter by being an OCT in Fort Polk, Louisiana. And that's really where he learned how to fight. But then he made a great choice after he went to ILE or CGSC. He chose to go to SAMS. Not an easy task. Haven't been there. They read 200 pages a day. Not an easy task, especially for some of us who struggle with reading. But that's where he learned how to be an operational strategist and really be able to put his tactical warfighting skills with all the education he got at SAMS, and was able to put that stuff together and made him a phenomenal leader. Then he moved forward to be the planner for the 4th ID, so he's a maneuver planner at 4th ID in Fort Carson, Colorado, where once again deployed to Afghanistan. So when you look back, which strikes you with Dan's career, when you look at some of your peers, even at my rank now, look back some of the peers, there's a large discrepancy in the amount of deployments on some of our officers in the Army, even some of our mid-brigadiers. But Dan did not shy away from units that were deploying and doing hard things, having deployed almost 4 or 5 times in Afghanistan. So he's got numerous deployments to Afghanistan, 1 to Africa. You look at other officers or his peers, they do not have the same amount of deployments as Dan has, because Dan has never shied away from a hard job, so he kept staying with work. His mom probably doesn't appreciate that, but we do, because we enjoy the leadership. At 4ID, he was a maneuver planner, and then we got blessed to get him down in 112 Infantry in 2nd Brigade. Now, when he showed up, we were the War Horse Brigade. It used to be an armored brigade. If anyone's seen the movie about Top Heating, they overrun Top Heating, that was the brigade that Dan served in. So, not being Top Heating. That's the legacy of the brigade. So, they used to be a light infantry brigade, and they had reflagged the armored brigade. So, Dan actually helped get our name back from what was 4th Brigade, 4ID, to the Mountain Warriors. So, we switched from that name, got an extra name. So Dan was actually part of that process and helping us build that out. But anyway, after 112, Dan came up to be the Brigade 3. So that's where I got to meet Dan officially for the first time, meeting my Brigade 3. And truly blessed to have Dan as a Brigade 3. So extremely highly intelligent, can take in a large amount of information very quickly, and extremely calm demeanor. I can be less than calm. I got 80, so I have 1,000 ideas going on at once. And Dan's was able to make me smile because he was every other day. But Dan is extremely calm and can put all that and weave it all together. So he's a phenomenal S3 and a very difficult thing. And then he had to manage a switchover between 2 brigade commanders over the summer of 21 who were going straight to NTC. And I couldn't have asked for a better brigade S3. Probably the reason I have the job I have today is largely in part because of Dan and the way he performs my brigade S3 in the desert and went to NTC. So at NTC, he gets one of the rare monikers of defeating 11th ACR 4 times out of 4. Very few brigades can say they even defeated once in battle. We were able to do 4 out of 4. Dan's ability to plan and stay ahead of the enemy. We would come out of a fight and Dan would say, hey, sir, the plan's already done, issued based on the guidance, and already kicked up the battalion for regular rehearsal before the other fight was even over. Dan, I think you learned a little bit of operating restrainers. But Dan did phenomenal. And there's 2 kind of highlights in that rotation. One, we cheated a little bit going out in the reconnaissance phase. Combat's all about cheating to yourself to advantage. Dan was able to figure out that piece out, and we really dominated the first battle. And then threw some crazy into the defense with that force hammer. So was able to, we had to do some things we had to plan to kind of hide from our battalion commander, so we let the battalion play. Dan was able to weave that together, and then throw Nate out there to the lines. Dan did a phenomenal job of weaving that together and keeping us on pace. We would not have been able to do it. He's been a great mentor for leaders in the S3 shop. All of his junior officers and NCOs absolutely love him. Still call and talk to him to this day. He's a true leader. That doesn't make him the great person that really he is. He's also a brother, a son, and a phenomenal father. Retired in JD. I don't know how he balances that stuff, considering the amount of hours he puts in. Phenomenal leader, but really I think probably your biggest accolade is with the city of two kids. And Cindy, he would not be up here if it wasn't for you. It takes more than you just come to work for him to get to the tech room. It's a lot of late nights, it's a lot of support on the backside for him to get there. You can't do it on staff. I don't know how soon people do it. And for these two little ones, it's hard to do, unless you guys can stay strong. These are late nights are going to CTC rotations as well. So, JD and Tara, thanks to you. Dan, I have no doubt you'll be a great battalion commander once we get to the So, looking for big things. Hopefully, you're going to go striker for second or soon. Stay away from the GC for now. I go back striker. Okay. That being, thanks to everybody. Appreciate everybody coming out. I think he wants to pin on, so he wants to start getting paid this year.
Participating family members, please come forward.
Hey, we got like 2 or 3 captains. We got captains up there? Raise your hand. We got captains. All right, come on. Let's stand up front. We'll get the baby and toss a baby around. Okay, Jay, you want to fire? Okay, you got to be careful.
Colonel Kaiser will now give the directive for the promotion orders. Please remain seated.
Publish the orders.
Attention to orders. The President of the United States has reposed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, valor, fidelity, and abilities of Daniel Todd Harrison. In view of these qualities and his demonstrated potential for increased responsibility, he is therefore promoted in the United States Army to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel, effective on the first day of August 2023 by order of the Secretary of the Army.
All right, run down and pick a captain to get You should probably look at their own heroes first.
Colonel Kaiser will now administer the oath of office.
I, Daniel Todd Harrison,
Do
promoted to Lieutenant Colonel in the United States Army.
I've been promoted to Lieutenant Colonel in the United States Army.
Do you solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
to support and defend the Constitution of the United States
to support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and that bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and make this obligation freely,
take this obligation freely,
without mental reservation
without mental reservation,
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion.
and I will well and faithfully discharge
I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office for which I'm about to enter.
the duties of the office for which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
I normally like to speak extemporaneously, but this is a very important group to me, and there's some specific things I'd like to communicate to you, so if you forgive me, I'm going to read a little bit more than I look at you. So thank you for that exceptionally generous introduction. I've been really fortunate to have you as a leader and a mentor. And so in front of this group, I'd like to start off by explaining why I asked him to promote me and why he was the leader that I hoped to be. When you have a boss that comes in and provides immediate trust, empowerment, and honesty, it creates the special sauce for organizational success. Kevin Ramirez as the Brigade XO and myself as the Brigade 3 could not have been more supported from above, even though it was an exceptionally long year, it seems, in hindsight, in the Warhorse and Mountain Warrior Brigade with everything going on. Thank you for truly being the leader we wanted to follow and modeling for us the follower we want to be. 242 months ago, in June 2003, I started this journey and took my first step by taking my first oath at Cadet Basic Training. That oath was the first stone in this path to service in the Army. And it has often been hard, challenging, and dangerous. But it has also been fun, rewarding, and inspiring. All of you are a part of that journey. And I genuinely thank you for being here and being part of my journey. This represents a nearly lifelong aspiration of mine and is the mark of a successful and complete career regardless of what comes next. And I'm exceptionally fortunate to share it with so many people that helped me get here and so many people that I care about. I'll try to address all of you present and online as best I can, but if I forget anyone, I apologize for now. First, since I've screwed this up before, I need to thank the most important person. Literally nothing that Colonel Kaiser just said, nor anything you've heard about in my career happened without the direct and often decisive support of my wife. Cindy is the rock upon which the foundation of my life is laid, and I pray that all of you find a rock like her. Cindy, Tanya, and JP, thank you for putting up and supporting me through all long times away, all my crazy stuff all over several houses, lots of very early mornings and late nights. Thank you, I love you. One of the other foundations of my life is in Sacramento, California right now. To my grandparents, Don and Barb Wolf, also known as Mimi and Gramps. Thank you for your lifelong support to me, and especially to my military service. All the chess games, all the ice cream, the academy trips to places unknown near and far, you remain an inspiration to everyone that knows you. Most of you may not know that growing up in southwestern Virginia is not a coincidence. It was a deliberate choice that my parents made to bring us here from Texas, despite a unanimous vote by the boys to stay where we were. They did so because they thought it would give us a fighting chance to receive a world-class education and great opportunities that would lead to successful life. And it turns out you were right and we were wrong. So thank you for bringing us here. I'd be remiss not to thank my in-laws, Jim and Sheila Hall. Thank you for sharing Cindy with the world and for sharing her with you in particular. There literally could not be a better version of in-laws that I could have asked for. I see some of you wearing a little bit of skepticism or jealousy on your face. You should be jealous because they are. To my brothers, I have great faith in our collective survival in any apocalypse, including the zombie apocalypse. And I mean that as the best compliment I can pay you. Thank you for always challenging and pushing me. Thank you for supporting me and occasionally roasting me.
and helping me stay humble and motivated. Your accomplishments always drive me to do better and to do more. I hope I can mirror some of that back to you. To the Harrison, Wolf, and Hall clans, you are a wild and rambunctious bunch of troublemakers and hooligans, and we're all better for it. I thank you for always supporting each other and never taking practically anything seriously, much less too seriously. Now, if the spirit of service is a tree, my roots were firmly planted about an hour away in the town of Warwick, Virginia. A lot of people in this crowd are from there. My teachers, coaches, scoutmasters, and fellow schoolmates all contributed to our collective success, and I thank you for that. In particular, the adult leaders in school, Troop 58, Camp Atari, and at the Order of the Arrows Kulo Lodge helped me see the light and grow as a human being. Thank you. Thank you to people like Tarna, namesake of that one, Brad, Tiffany, Dustin, Aaron, Hunter. Thank you all for being part of my childhood as we learned and grew together and have maintained lifelong relationships. I really appreciate you. Thank you. My classmates from the youthful class of 2007 are an incredible bunch, and I thank them for helping me grow. In particular, my roommates and my fellow Cleves in D1, go Ducks, and the 3 years worth of cadets I met in A2, go tell the Spartans. They sharpened me as iron sharpens iron, and I thank you for putting up with my particular brand of ridiculousness. Thank you to Sarah Cato for teaching me about the healing power of yoga and self-care. You truly saved my career. I really mean that. Finally, thank you to the faculty, staff, friends, and cadets of Virginia Tech and Radford University. You are a world-class crew, and I am exceptionally proud to be part of this team. We are planting the seeds of future victory and victory. Now, the sacred duty of leading America's most treasured resource, her sons and daughters, is ever present in this profession and in our military. It's one we must take exceptionally seriously and thoughtfully. I'm mindful that I've been fortunate to serve in 3 of the most storied divisions in the history of the world, and deploy with all of them to fight our mission force. We were often lucky, though sometimes not, but we were always ready. And I thank the soldiers, airmen, sailors, and Marines that I served alongside from both this great nation and our partners and allies. 3rd Platoon Bravo Company, HHC 4th Brigade 1st Infantry Division, Charlie Company 216, HHC 216, 112 Infantry, 2nd Brigade 4th Infantry Division. Thank you. As I reflected on what I wanted to say this evening, after I was able to thank all of you and all of the people I just mentioned, I decided I should try to sum up what I've learned in the last 20 years. And these boil down to some recommendations that I make to you, which are born of much blood, sweat, tears, trauma, and repetition. Most of which was necessary, but some of which was definitely not. First, always know your purpose. As Miyamoto Musashi said, who's a huge influence on my life, quote, do nothing that is without purpose. Cut out the white noise, the unimportant, the nonsense. Free yourself to focus on what is actually important. You'll be much more effective focusing on one thing than hovering on 7 and accomplishing the whole. Share that insight with your partners in any endeavor, because a shared purpose is the most powerful thing this human beings can have, and you will succeed beyond your wildest dreams. Second, be disciplined and be deliberate. Create habits, systems, and processes that, quote, keep the main thing, as my old commander, Tim Palmer, would often say. Follow your PT plan, not because you want to that day, but because you said it was a goal, and it's deliberately linked to your purpose. Gain an understanding of the problems, interrogate solutions, and then reassess, because life is discovery and learning is exceptionally received. Third, our strategic advantage as a country, as a military, and an international partner is you. The human terrain is the decisive determinant. People truly matter. Invest in knowing your people, what their purpose is, and how you can enable it. Because your return on that investment is practically limitless. I close with the 5th stanza of the Ranger Creed that has been burned into my mind since the first time I read it, and which I had the distinct privilege of saying as part of our graduation ceremony for senior school. Energetically will meet the enemies of my country. I shall defeat them on the field of battle, for I am better trained and will fight with all my might. Surrender is not a Ranger word. I will never leave a fallen comrade to fall into the hands of the enemy, and under no circumstances will I ever embarrass my country. Words to live by. Today might be the culmination of 242 months, but it's not the end. I will see you on the high ground. God bless America. Thank you.
Please rise for the playing of the Army Song.
March along, sing a song, we're the army of the free. Count the brave, count the true, who have fought to victory. We're the army and proud of our name. We're the army and proudly proclaim. First we fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. Then it's high, hey, the army's on its way. Count all the kids on the shore. For wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending today's ceremony. Please feel free to walk through the receiving line to congratulate the Harrison family. They'll depart at 1810, change for the reception. Double up.